Welcome to this new Football Manager 2018 World Cup experiment. So there's been a few comments on my most recent experiments with suggestions as to what I can do next. And this was actually already on my list of possible experiment ideas. But a couple of you suggested that I should do a World Cup with no South American or European nations in it. The World Cup winners have always come from these two confederations. So I think this is a fascinating idea. We're going to see what would happen with just nations from Africa, North America, Asia, and Oceania. So just like the other World Cup experiments I've released recently, check them out if you haven't watched them already, I've gone on the FIFA World Ranking website and I've looked at the four confederations involved. So we've got the Asian Confederation. So I've selected the top 8 nations from each of the 4 confederations taking part in this World Cup. I could have done it another way. I could have selected the top 32 teams from these 4 groups, but then there'd have been no Oceania teams in there. We wouldn't even have had New Zealand in there because their ranking is far too low. So I've decided to mix it up. We're going to have 8 nations from each of the 4. So, I mean, the African teams are the strongest. We could easily have a World Cup just of African teams, but then, of course, it wouldn't be a World Cup. It would just be an African tournament. The American teams, North American teams should do quite well. Mexico and USA, I imagine, will be quite successful in this. And then, of course, probably the weakest link, New Zealand, Solomon Islands, New Caledonia, etc. There's only 11 teams in this confederation at the moment anyway that are part of the world rankings. So 8 of those teams are in it. They are going to be the whipping boys, but hopefully it'll make it a little bit more interesting. We'll see some big score lines as well. Or we might see some shocks, you never know. So to add an element of fun to this, we're going to have a little World Cup draw using Excel and a random letter generator. So on the right hand side, we've got the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G and H to represent the 8 groups, of course. We've got the 32 nations competing in this with their world ranking and a seeding system. So the top team in Africa will be seeded 1, top team in North America seeded 1, etc. etc. So the first and second seeds will be drawn into the 8 groups. They won't be in the same groups. We're going to try and make sure there's no more than 2 nations from each confederation in the same group, but no promises. We'll try and make sure that happens anyway. So let's get underway. So Group D will be Tunisia. You may be surprised to realise that Ivory Coast are not in the top 8 African nations. I'm a little bit surprised by that, but that's just the way it is these days, I suppose. Sometimes I have to press the button more than once to get a fresh group. Australia going to be in Group F. We've got Group E will be New Zealand, so we might have New Zealand versus Australia in the second round, I think. That is a possibility. The second seeds will be drawn into the other 4 groups. Eventually we get a new letter that hasn't been drawn. Senegal into Group C. We've got Costa Rica going into Group H. We've got Iran going into Group B. And lastly, the Solomon Islands, who are second seeds somehow, go into Group G. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's right. All 8 teams have been drawn. All the top 8 teams have been drawn. This World Cup, if it was real, it would be fascinating. I'd actually love to see this sort of tournament, like a secondary World Cup, basically. Anyway, third seeds next. So, Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, will go into Group C with Senegal. So we can't have any more African teams in that group. Group E will be USA. USA going to New Zealand's group. Group A will be South Korea going in with Mexico. That is a great clash, isn't it? Group H will be New Caledonia. And then we're on to the 4th seed. So Morocco will go into Group B. Group D is going to be Jamaica. Group G will be Japan. And lastly, Group F, of course, that's the last group, will be Tahiti. So, on to the 5th seeds. So, Group G will have Egypt. Group D will have Panama. So, we can't have more North American teams in there because we've got Jamaica and Panama in there. Group G we've already had. Group F will be Saudi Arabia. So, Saudi Arabia and Australia from the Asian Confederation. No more teams in there. This might get a bit complicated for the last draw. So, Group E is going to be Vanuatu, something like that. I've probably murdered that. So once again, no more oceanic teams in there. So Group G, we're on to the 6th seeds, Ghana. We've already had Group G, haven't we? Egypt were drawn in there. So Group B will be Ghana. No more African teams in there. This is going to get complicated. Maybe it will work. I don't know. Might have been able to organise this a bit better. Honduras is going to go into Group H. Costa Rica and Honduras in there. Group B we've already had. This is a bit of a mess now. I'm getting confused. Group C is going to be Syria. I feel like I'm going to cock up here. Syria and... oh no, there's 2 African teams in there. And lastly, Group A will have Fiji. I think we can do this, actually, as long as I make sure I just go through this right. So Group F is going to have Nigeria in it. They're going in there. Group A will have China. Group B will have Papua New Guinea. So they can go in there. That's fine. Group D is going to have Cameroon. Cameroon fits in there. There's only 2 African nations in there. Group F, we've already had. Group C, we've already had. Group F, we've already... Group E. Okay, so Group E will be Canada. Can they go in there? They can. Oh, this might be okay, actually. And Group G and H. So Group G will have UAE. They can go in there. And lastly, American Samoa can go in Group H. That's fine. Oh, it's worked out. It's worked out fine, I think. So then, this is the World Cup draw. Now, I'm going to do 3 simulations of this to see who wins it in those 3 attempts. If you do want to see me do a part 2 where I do a fresh draw and get confused once again and do a few more simulations, then remember to hit that like button. If we get to... let's say, well, we'll do 500 likes again, just like the previous experiments. If we get 500 likes, then I will do a part 2. So here we have it, the non-European and South American World Cup of 2018. Interestingly, Iran and Morocco have both been drawn in Group B, just like in the real World Cup. Strange coincidence. Anyhow, I'm going to simulate this 3 times, and I'm going to have a look at each World Cup to see who wins it. So Egypt managed to win the first simulation, inspired by Salah, of course, top goal scorer at the tournament. They beat Japan 2-1 in the final. But first of all, I would just like to spare a thought for Vanuatu, who capitulated. The worst ever goal difference at a World Cup, -27. Wow. They lost 4-0, 11-0 and 12-0. They conceded 12 against USA. There was a hat-trick in there. In fact, 2 hat-tricks in there. Bobby Wood got 4 goals. 4 of his 6 goals was against Vanuatu. Canada beat them 11-0. And Larin got 5 goals in this game. And even New Zealand managed to thrash them 4-0. So, yeah, the quality difference in that group is apparent. More than apparent. But let's have a look at this World Cup then, starting with the group stages. So Mexico and China managed to go through from Group A. South Korea missing out. So China, who of course didn't qualify for the real World Cup, finishing above South Korea, who did qualify for the real World Cup. The 2 African teams went through from Group B, Ghana and Morocco. We didn't see any heroics from David Brown, I'm afraid. The guy that features in my experiment the other day. David Brown did score bucket loads of goals. He didn't even score the 1 goal that they scored in this tournament, unfortunately. Congo and Senegal, the 2 African teams. This is to be expected. I thought the African teams would dominate in this. And Congo and Senegal have managed to get through from Group C. Syria did win 1 game against Honduras 3-2. Cameroon and Tunisia, the other 2 African teams from Group D, going through. Jamaica and Panama missing out. USA and New Zealand went through from Group E in the end, so Canada missed out. And then Australia comfortably won Group F, winning all 3 games, 2-0, 2-0 and 3-0 against Tahiti. And then in Group G, Egypt topped their group, but they did get a draw against Japan. Japan were the 2nd place team, finishing just ahead of United Arab Emirates. But Solomon Islands failed, I'm afraid. -10 goal difference. They lost. They conceded 5 goals against Egypt. And lastly, Costa Rica topped their group, as you would expect, with Honduras finishing 2nd, as you would expect. New Caledonia, -9 goal difference. Didn't end well for them. So we head into the 2nd round, where Morocco surprisingly beat Mexico 1-0 after extra time. They're 2 pretty decent teams, but Mexico, I'd have thought, would be able to go quite far in this World Cup. Surely they're going to win one of these 3 simulations. Benatia actually scored our 100th minute winner, as you can see there. China beat Ghana 2-1. That's a really good win for China. 2 players called Zhang getting the goals. Tunisia beat Congo 2-0. And Cameroon defeated Senegal 1-0. That's a little bit of a surprise considering Senegal are the actual team in this summer's World Cup. USA smashed Nigeria 3-0. Bobby Wood with a couple goals. New Zealand beat Australia 3. Wow, this is a shock. This is an amazing win for New Zealand. This is obviously a rivalry, and you'd expect Australia to win. Tim Cahill got a late consolation goal in the end. But considering Australia are at the World Cup, New Zealand aren't, that is a really impressive win for New Zealand. Egypt thrashed Honduras 4-1. Hassan with 2 goals. Salah scored. Ramadan scored. And Japan managed to beat Costa Rica 1-0. Heading into the quarterfinals then, we saw Cameroon beat Morocco 1-0. All-African clash that. Cameroon have done really well, actually. China have done exceptionally well to get through to the semi-finals, beating Tunisia 2-1. 2 red cards in this game. Wow, China are flying. And Japan doing really well as well. Beat USA 3-1. That is a bit of a rivalry as well, isn't it? For historical reasons. And lastly, Egypt ended New Zealand's dreams with a 90th minute winner from Salah. But we had 2 missed penalties from El Neni and Hassan there. And Chris Wood missed a penalty for New Zealand. New Zealand could have won it after those 2 missed penalties. So that is an intriguing game, actually. Should have been a lot more goals. And then in the semi-finals, Egypt defeated Cameroon in an all-African clash. And Salah got 2 goals. And we saw another rivalry, Japan versus China. An all-Asian clash with Japan coming out on top. So China and Cameroon headed into the 3rd place playoff, where Cameroon came out on top, winning 2-0 thanks to Mukanjo with 2 goals, as you can see there. And then, of course, the final was won by Egypt, 2-1 against Japan. Salah, man of the match. He got 1 assist, he didn't score, but Tarek and Ramadan with the vital goals. Nakajima, a legend from my Pool Plays in Portugal series, missed an 89th minute penalty, which would have sent it through to extra time. Really unlucky there. So, who won the awards? Salah won the best player of the tournament award easily. 8.36 average rating, 7 goals, 4 assists. He was on fire in this tournament. He also got the golden boot, as you can see there. Best goalkeeper went to the Chinese goalkeeper, Zhen Cheng. Best young player went to Pulisic, 19 years old. And this is the dream teams. We've got 3 Japanese players in there, lots of Egyptians, and 2 Cameroonians and the Chinese goalkeeper. Goal of the tournament. Let's have a look then. So it was won by a Tunisian player, Naim Sliti, against Congo. Let's see how this goal went down then. I always like to see the goal of the tournament, just to see if it's actually a decent goal or Football Manager's just drunk. Let's see. I think it was scored from 23 metres. Good strike. Goalkeeper probably should have done better. It looked like it just went through him, if I'm honest. But there we go, that managed to win goal of the tournament. I'm going to put together a little Excel spreadsheet just like my other experiments so we can just track the 3 winners. But let's get on with the second simulation. So the second simulation has also been won by an African nation. Senegal thrashed Mexico 4-1 in the final. So Mexico have managed to reach the final but failed to win it, unfortunately for them. Really impressive win for Senegal, though, as you can see there. Mexico did go down to 10 men, so that really had an impact on their chances. Chris Wood and Altidore with 8 goals in this tournament. We'll have a look at who won the Golden Boot in a bit. But looks like Chris Wood had a very good tournament. Looks like Salah had a very good tournament as well. But let's have a look to see how this tournament progressed then. So Mexico topped their group. They didn't win every game. They actually drew against South Korea, who missed out again, trying to qualify ahead of South Korea for the second time. Fiji conceded 15 goals, by the way. They actually lost 9-0 against Mexico. Morocco and Ghana went through from Group B, so Iran miss out there. Papua New Guinea conceded 12 goals this time, losing 6-0 against Morocco and 5-0 against Ghana. Senegal and Congo once again going through from Group C, but Congo only just finished above Syria, as you can see there. El Salvador did grab a draw, a vital draw against Syria in the end, because it prevented Syria from going through. Jamaica and Panama, oh, this is different. The 2 African nations miss out this time, with Jamaica and Panama going through. Now, this is a really tight group, I think, which is why we've seen a turnaround here. But Jamaica managed to beat Congo 3-2 and Tunisia 3-0. Really good win. Panama defeated Tunisia 2-0 and got a couple of draws against Cameroon and Jamaica to go through. New Zealand and USA going through from Group E once again. New Zealand topping the group with 3 wins. 3-0 win against Canada, 5-0 win against Vanuatu. They weren't quite as bad this time, but they still managed to have a pretty bad goal difference. They lost at 10-0 against USA, 7-0 against Canada, and 5-0 against New Zealand. And they didn't manage to score. at all. Australia and Saudi Arabia went through from Group F, so Nigeria missed out this time. Tahiti, they failed. 4-0 defeat against Saudi Arabia, 5-0 defeat against Nigeria, 4-0 defeat against Australia. It's predictable, I suppose, with these oceanic nations, but we have seen New Zealand pull off some shocks. They've obviously topped their group. I suppose if I was to do this again, perhaps we'd just have one oceanic nation. I just wanted to level the playing fields and make it a bit fairer. 8 nations from each confederation. Of course, the real World Cup is very different, but this isn't a real World Cup. This is a fake World Cup that doesn't exist. So the coefficients and everything would be a bit different. We'd have probably 10 African nations and 5 North American. It would be quite different, I suppose, if it was real life. Anyway, where was I? Egypt topped their group once again. 3 wins, comfortable victories for them. Japan also went through. Costa Rica and Honduras once again going through from Group H. No surprises there. And big losses for New Caledonia. 12-0 against Honduras. So that's an equal record with that USA win. 12-0. And also Costa Rica and Honduras thrashing American Samoa as well there, as you can see. So the second round, Mexico defeated Ghana this time on penalties to scrape through just about. We saw Morocco defeat China 3-1, so there's no dream World Cup for China this time around. Senegal defeated Panama 4-2, cracking game. Jamaica beat Congo 3-2, really good win for them. Saudi Arabia won on penalties against New Zealand to end their dreams quite early on in the tournament. USA defeated Australia this time. I thought Australia might do quite well, but perhaps the draw hasn't enabled them to progress as far as they would hope. They've had to face USA this time around. I suppose if you want me to do a part 2 where I do a new fresh draw, simulate it a few more times, then remember to hit that like button. Egypt beat Honduras 3-0 with Salah getting 2 goals, and Costa Rica beat Japan 2-0, comfortable win there. Quarterfinals then, Mexico beat Jamaica 3-1, North American clash. Senegal beat Morocco 3-1, despite having a man sent off in the 14th minute and 2 injuries, one to Mane and one to Mame Diouf. So they had to make all their subs quite early on in this game. And then Saudi Arabia beat Costa Rica on penalties to get through to the semi-finals, and USA defeated Egypt. Really good win for them. Dempsey, Pulisic and Fabian Johnson with the goals. In the semi-finals, Mexico beat USA. That is a clash and a half. Mexico get the win though. Hernandez with 2 goals. Chicharito. And what a game this is against between Senegal and Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia pretty unlucky really to be knocked out in extra time after a man sent off in the 99th minute. They equalised in the... In fact, no, because it was 1-1 going into extra time. We saw plenty of action in the extra time period. Third place playoff, USA did beat Saudi Arabia 3-0. These are some really interesting matchups, I must say. And the final, Senegal 4, Mexico 1. Absolute thrashing. So then, Pulisic actually won the best player of the tournament award, 7.89 ahead of Chicharito. Golden Boot was won by Altidore with 8 goals and 2 assists, just finishing ahead of Chris Wood because of those assists. Best Goalkeeper award was won by the Saudi Arabian goalkeeper. Best Young Player, Pulisic once again. Dream Team, lots of Senegalese players in there. Pretty much, 8 players from Senegal. 7 players from Senegal. No strikers though. It was all about the defence. That's what their tournament was built on, I suppose. Pulisic, Johnson and Altidore for USA, and Chicharito for Mexico, who managed to score 7 goals in this tournament. Goal of the tournament was won by Zheng Long for China against South Korea. Let's have a look at this goal then. These were the lineups. China have done really well, surprisingly well, actually. Chinese football is improving. And, I love goals like this. From the edge of the box, from a corner. Cracking strike. Makes it just look so slow when you have to look at the goal of the tournament in that speed. Anyway, let's go and have a look at the third and final simulation of today's video. USA are world champions. They defeated Egypt 2-0 in the final thanks to 35-year-old Clint Dempsey and Bobby Wood. They got the winning goals. Momentous day for the Americans. But let's have a look once again at the group stages to see what happened. So South Korea went through this time and they actually topped the group. They defeated Fiji 9-0, who didn't have a particularly good group stage, did they? They did score against China, but also conceded 6 goals. Their best result was actually against Mexico, only losing 3-0. Iran managed to qualify ahead of Morocco this time around, with Ghana topping the group. Papua New Guinea lost 7-0 against Ghana. Congo and Senegal once again from Group C. That's a pretty predictable group. Group D isn't predictable. We've seen a couple different teams this time. Cameroon and Panama going through together. Panama finishing ahead of Jamaica. And Tunisia, dreadful. Minus 11 goal difference. They lost 6-0 against Panama. What's happening there? Is that going to happen in real life? Can we see Panama thrash Tunisia 6-0? I kind of very much doubt it, but you never know. Canada topped the group, finishing ahead of USA, who went on to win it, of course. USA only scraped through ahead of New Zealand. All three teams finishing on 5 points. Vanuatu lost 4-0, 6-0 and 3-0 this time around. That was actually their best performance. Nigeria and Saudi Arabia went through from Group F. So Australia miss out this time on, I guess, goals scored by the looks of it. So that was really close. Tahiti did lose 5-0 against Saudi Arabia this time round. Japan and Egypt went through from Group G. So the two teams that actually went on to the final finished second in their group. You don't have to finish top of the group to get through to the final in this sort of World Cup. And lastly, Group H, Honduras topped the group this time. They scored 19 goals. They defeated New Caledonia and American Samoa 9-0. Honduras, interestingly, had the biggest ever World Cup win in real life. I think they beat El Salvador 10-1 back in is it 1982? Trying to get my trivia right. I think that's the biggest ever World Cup win. So that's an interesting fact for you, as long as that's correct, of course. So, by the way, New Caledonia defeated American Samoa to pick up 3 points. So well done to them. 3-0 win as well. Second round, South Korea beat Iran in extra time thanks to Ryu Son-woo. Mexico beat Ghana 1-0 thanks to Vila. We saw Panama defeat Congo 2-1 thanks to Tejeda. Senegal beat Cameroon 6-0. What a win. Babacar with a hat-trick. That is a thrashing. An African clash, and Senegal come out on top. Saudi Arabia beat Canada 1-0. So Canada's dreams of going far in the tournament ended at the second round stage by Saudi Arabia, who've done quite well actually. USA beat Nigeria 2-0. That's a good solid win. Costa Rica beat Japan 1-0 after extra time. And Egypt smashed Honduras, who of course scored so many goals in the group stage. But El Neni and Hassan with a hat-trick. They were too strong for Honduras. In the quarter-final stage, Senegal beat South Korea on penalties. So they just about scraped through that one. Panama beat Mexico. Wow, Mexico, the biggest underachievers on this experiment, quite easily. They, of course, did lose a final, but I was expecting them to at least win one tournament out of these three, but they failed to do so. Tejeda with a 94th minute winner. Egypt beat Saudi Arabia 2-1, Salah with a goal, and USA beat Costa Rica 2-0 in an all-North American clash. In the semi-finals then, we saw USA beat Senegal 1-0, just about scraping through that one, but this is what a win. Panama have done really well to get through to the semi-finals, but Egypt completely demolished them 5-0 in the semis. And the third place playoff went to Panama. Little old Panama, well done for finishing third. I'm really proud of them for that. But the final, of course, was won by USA against Egypt. So let's have a look at the awards then once again. Hassan ended up getting the Best Player award with a 7.8 average rating. He also picked up the Golden Boot award with 6 goals and 3 assists. Best goalkeeper went to Brad Guzan of the USA. Best young player went to Ramadan of Egypt. And the Dream Team consisted of quite a few Americans, 5 Americans. We've got 4 Americans, 2 Senegalese defenders, 4 Egyptians, particularly attacking players, and Tejeda of Panama with 6 goals had a really good tournament as well. Goal of the tournament was won by a Costa Rican though against New Caledonia. Let's have a look at this goal. Those are the lineups. I won't know it. You won't know any New Caledonia players. Costa Rica playing 5 at the back against New Caledonia. Shame on you. Maybe they were just showing some respect, I suppose. It was a 3-0 win for Costa Rica, and this one goal of the tournament, that's probably the best goal of the lot, actually. That was unstoppable. So at the end of today's experiment, these are the 3 results of those World Cups. I think Egypt quite clearly were the most successful team. They managed to win the World Cup once, finish second once. Salah and Hassan picked up Golden Boot and Best Player of the Tournament awards. USA probably a close second, finishing first and third. Senegal managed to finish first and fourth. Mexico, despite getting to a final, probably the biggest underachievers. I was expecting them to win a tournament, but it didn't happen. Australia as well, a bit disappointing, but perhaps their side of the draw was a little bit tricky. But if you want me to simulate some more, then let me know, because perhaps a different draw would result in different teams winning the competition. I hope you enjoyed it anyway, regardless of whether I do a few more simulations or not. I've got some other World Cup experiments up my sleeve as well that I'll be uploading at some point soon. But until next time, enjoy FM18, enjoy the World Cup, and I'll see you very soon.